الحمد لله حمدا لا ينفد أفضل ما ينبغي أن يحمد وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تعبد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي زدنا علما ربي زدنا علما ربي زدنا علما آمين ما بعد. Today is lesson 2, and in this lesson we will take chapter 2 الدرس والثاني from our book Madinah book 1. So previously we learned a few things. So we learned about words that are definite and indefinite. So if a word, for example, ends in tanween, baytun, this tanween is a sign that it's indefinite, yani it's undefined. So you would translate this as a house. And if you add alif wa lam, it becomes defined, definite. So al-baytu becomes the house. And we also saw that to create a basic sentence in the Arabic language, that sentence, it will have two words. The first word will be definite, yani it will have alif wa lam in it. And the second word will be indefinite, yani it will end in tanween. For example, I can say, al-baytu kabirun. The house is large. So it's two words. The first word has alif wa lam, so it's definite. And the second word has tanween, so it's indefinite. And this is how the structure of a basic sentence that has two words will be formed in Arabic language. We also learn about the word hada. The word hada, yani, it means this or this is. So we have hada, which means this. In brackets, I'll put is over here. So if I have hada in a sentence, for example, I say hada baytun. Baytun, because it's indefinite, we know it means a house. And hada, as we can see, it means this. So this is a house. And the reason why I put is in brackets is because it's not there in the Arabic, but we imply it in the English translation in order to make the English translation correct and complete. We also learned how to create basic questions and answers. So if you don't know about an object, you can say, Ma hadha? What is this? So ma means what? And then you would respond by saying hadha and simply state the object, state what it is. Likewise, if you want to confirm about an object, so you're not sure, you might know what it is, but you want to confirm it, you will say ahadha. Ahadha, and then you'd state what it is. Is this whatever it is? And the way to respond to this is you either have to say na'am, you say yes, or you say la, which means no. And then you will state the answer. So, ahadha baytun, is this a house? Na'am, hadha baytun, this is a house. That's an example of how, or what we learned in the last lesson. So that's a brief recap of the last lesson. As for today, we learn some new vocab. The main thing that we learned this lesson is about the word dhalika. Dhalika. So dhalika, it means that is. So the difference between hada and dhalika is hada, which means this is, you will use that for when an object is close to you in proximity. When it's, for example, right next to you. Whereas dhalika, that is it will be used for an object that is further away from you, that is far away from you. So you might say ذَلِكَ بَيْتٌ. That is a house. So in this situation, when you say ذَلِكَ بَيْتٌ, that is a house, the meaning is that the house is slightly further away from you. Okay, so let's look at chapter number 2 then. الدرس الثاني ذَلِكَ. So let's read and translate. ما ذَلِكَ. Ma means what? So ما ذَلِكَ, what is that? ذَلِكَ نَجْمٌ, that is a star. هذا مسجد, this is a mosque. وَذَلِكَ بَيْتٌ, and that is a house. هذا حصان, this is a horse. وَذَلِكَ حِمَارٌ, and that is a donkey. أَذَلِكَ كَلْبٌ, is that a dog? لا, ذَلِكَ قِطٌ, no, that is a cat. ما ذَلِكَ, what is that? ذَلِكَ سَرِيرٌ, that is a bed. Man hada wa man dhalika. We learned in chapter 1 that man, it means who. Man hada, who is this? Wa man dhalika, and who is that? Hada mudarrisun, this is a teacher. Wa dhalika imamun, and that is an imam. If you notice that in the word mudarris, the haraka is below the shadda. If a letter has shadda, then the kasra can be written below the shadda rather than below the letter. So if the haraka is below shadda, it means kasra. So kasra can go below the shadda, or you can put it under the letter itself. If you put the haraka above the shadda, it means fatha, it's a fatha. But if it's below the shadda, it means kasra. So this one here is a kasra, يعني it's a kasra. And this one here is a fatha. That is the situation when you have a shadda. So this is shadda. When you have this on a letter, the fatha will go above the shadda and the kasra will go below it. If there is no shadda, then it will appear how it normally would, which is that the fatha will go above the letter and the kasra will go below the letter. Okay. ما ذلك, so back to the book now. ما ذلك, what is that? ذلك حجر, that is a rock or a stone. هذا سكر, this is sugar. وذلك لبن, and that is milk. So let's look at the exercises now. The first one says اقرأ واكتب, read and write. هذا سكر وذلك لبن, this is sugar and that is milk. من ذلك, who is that? ذلك إمام, that is an imam. أذلك قط, is that a cat? لا, no, ذلك كلب, that is a dog. ما هذا? هذا حجر, what is this? This is a stone. الكلمات الجديدة إمام, which is the imam, the person who leads the prayer at the masjid. حجر, stone or rock. سكر, sugar. لبن means milk. And then we come to chapter 3, الدرس والثالث. So in chapter 3, we learn about definite and indefinite words. So you can see here that a word is indefinite, it's general, if it ends in tanween. So baytun with tanween means a house. It could be any house, you're not specifying it. But when you say al-baytu, you add alif wa lam to it, it means the house. It's now defined and definite. Qalamun, a pen. Al-qalamu, the pen. Kitabun, a book. Al-kitabu, the book. Jamalun, a camel, a male camel. Al-jamalu, the male camel. Al-qalamu maksurun, the pen is broken. Al-babu maftuhun, the door is open. Al-waladu jalisun, the boy is sitting. Wal-mudarrisu waqifun, and the teacher is sitting. Here we have some additional sentences. The first one, it says, Al-kitabu jadidun, the book is new. Wal-qalamu qadimun, and the pen is old. Al-himaru saghirun, the donkey is small. Wal-hisanu kabirun, and the horse is large. Al-kursiyu maksurun, the chair is broken. Al-mindilu wasikhun, the handkerchief is dirty. Al-ma'u baridun, the water is cold. Al-qamaru jamilun, the moon is beautiful. Al-baytu qaribun wal-masjidu ba'idun, the house is close and the mosque is far. Al-hajaru thaqilun, the stone or the rock is heavy. Wal-waraqu, and the paper khafifun is light. Al-labanu harrun, the milk is hot. Al-qamisu nadhifun, the shirt is clean. Let's go to the next page. Tamarin. So let's explain the exercises for chapter 3. The first one says, اقرأ واكتب مع ضبط أواخر الكلمات. Read and write these words whilst confirming or writing down also the end or last haraka. So you have to look at these words, and based upon what we have learnt, would you put one dhamma or two dhammas on the end of these words? So this word masjid, we can see here, it doesn't have alif wa lam. So therefore it's going to be indefinite. So we would say masjidun with two dhammas on the end of this, masjidun. Whereas here it says al-masjidu. It has alif wa lam attached. So we would say al-masjidu, the mosque. And the same can be done for the rest of these words. The answers can be found after this exercise has been completed. The answers can be reviewed and checked in the English notes. The English notes for which comes as additional, in addition to the book, the Arabic book, it contains the answers, so it can be checked over there. The second exercise says Iqra waktub, read and write, and I'd also advise for it to be translated. So let's do the first 5 together. Al-maktabu maksurun, the desk is broken. Al-mudarrisu jadidun, the teacher is new. Al-qamisu wasikhun, the shirt is dirty. Al-labanu baridun, the milk is cold. Al-masjidu maftuhun, the mosque is open. If you notice in the exercises, the harakat, the fatha, damma, kasra on the words is not given, because it's expected that the student will learn and memorize how the word should be pronounced after having seen it a few times already. So here it's not given to you, but you can check in the previous chapters on what should go on these words. And when this exercise is done, when you write it out, it is advised that you write out every single haraka for every letter. Okay, exercise number 3. It says, املأ الفراغ فيما يلي بوضع الكلمة المناسبة من الكلمات التالية. Here you're given a number of the beginning of sentences. So you have al-hajaru, and then there's a blank. So in the blank, you have to put an appropriate word from the words that you have been given. So here you're given 6 words and 6 sentences, 6 blank spaces. So you have to put the appropriate word into the blank spaces. So we have here al-hajaru, the rock or the stone. We can say, for example, al-hajaru thaqilun, the rock or the stone is heavy. Then we have al-babu, so you can say al-babu maftuhun, the door is open. And then the rest, it can be done by the students, inshallah. Exercise number 4 is similar to exercise number 3, except here you have to put an appropriate word in the beginning of the sentence. So blank, nadhifun. Something, the something is clean. So you can say al-qamisu, the shirt, nadhifun, is clean. Blank, maksurun, something is broken. You can say al-qalamu maksurun, the pen is broken. Or you can also say al-maktabu maksurun, the desk is broken. Both are acceptable answers. And in this box, we have al-kalimatul jadida, the new words that we have learned in today's lesson. All of these have been mentioned, the meaning of these have been mentioned before previously as we read along in the lesson. And then here again, you have the rule highlighted for you, the rule that we've learned today about indefinite words and definite words. Najmun, a star, and najmu, the star. Rajulun, a man, ar-rajulu, the man. Deekun, a rooster, ad-deeku, the rooster. Talibun, a student, at-talibu, the student. This exercise is an additional exercise for this chapter. And you're given a list of words in the first column and a list of words in the second column. And you basically have to connect the words together by drawing a line to create a complete sentence. So al-talibu maridun, the student is sick. So you draw a line from al-talib down to marid, and so on and so forth. And then here we have another list of new words. Let's translate these words together. Hulwun means sweet. Maridun, sick. Ad-dukkanu, the shop. Ghaniyun, rich or wealthy. Tawilun, tall. Faqirun, poor. Qasirun, short. At-tuffahu, the apple. This exercise, you can simply read and write it. So here you have 11 sentences, and you can read and write this exercise, these sentences for this exercise. So it says here, An-najmu ba'idun, the star is far. Ar-rajulu waqifun, the man is standing. As-sukkaru hulwun, the sugar is sweet. At-talibu maridun, the student is sick. Ad-diku jamilun, the rooster is beautiful. Ad-daftaru jadidun, the notebook is new. And the rest can be done by the students. The following sentences, you have to read and write these, the following words, you have to read and write these words, and you have to put the haraka, particularly on the end of the word. So based upon what we've learned, do you put one haraka, one dhamma, or two dhammas? Then exercise number 2, put an appropriate word to complete the sentence. So the first, fill in the first word to make a complete sentence. So blank, ghaniyun. Someone or something is rich. Ghani means rich or wealthy. So at-tajiru, the businessman, ghaniyun, is rich. And the rest can be done by the students. And to check the answers, like has been mentioned, it can be found in the English notes. So here on this page, we are learning a rule, but this rule is not a grammar rule, it's to do with reading. It's a reading rule. So let's look at what it is. So on the top of the page it says al-hurufu al-qamariyya wal-hurufu al-shamsiyya. Al-huruf al-qamariyya wal-huruf al-shamsiyya. You have moon letters and you have sun letters. The moon letters have been listed here. Alif, Ba, Jim, Ha, Kha, Ain, Ghain, all the way down to Ya. And the sun letters have been listed on the other side. Ta, Tha, Dal, Zal, all the way down to Noon. So this rule, it is to do with the pronunciation of the lam when you have alif and lam. So al, it makes the word definite. It means roughly the. It translates to the word the. So this lam over here, do I pronounce this lam or do I not pronounce it? It depends on which letter appears after the lam. If I have a moon letter after this lam, then the lam will be pronounced clearly. For example, if I have al-babu, ba is a moon letter. It's listed under the moon letters over here. So the moon letters, like I said, if it appears after the lam in al, then you have to pronounce the lam. So you say al-babu, al-babu. Whereas if you have a sun letter, then the lam will not be pronounced. The lam will not be pronounced. For example, if you have the word athawbu, which means the garment. So this lam here is not pronounced. You will say athawbu, athawbu. The alif will join directly to the tha, and the rest of the word will be pronounced thereafter. Athawbu. You cannot say al-thawbu. You cannot pronounce the lam. So this is يعني what the al-huruf al-qamariyya wal-huruf al-shamsiyya is about. So for example here you have al-abu, al-babu, al-jannatu, al-himaru, al-khubzu. In all of these words the lam will be pronounced. And here you have at-tajiru, al-thawbu, ad-diku, al-dhahabu, al-rajulu, al-zahratu, al-samaku. The lam is never pronounced. And you will usually be able to tell that the lam is not being pronounced because the letter after the lam will have a shadda. If the letter after the lam has shadda, that is a sign, yani has this shadda here, that is a sign that this is a sun letter, and therefore you don't pronounce this lam. This lam won't be pronounced. Why? Because there's shadda here. This shadda, which appears on the letter directly after the lam, is a sign that this is a sun letter, and therefore the lam should not be pronounced. Whereas if there is no shadda, this means that it is a moon letter, and the lam should be pronounced. On the next page now, this is a verbal exercise for the student. You have to read this list of words and take into consideration if you will be pronouncing the lam or if you will not be pronouncing the lam. So do I say, for example, in the first word, it says al-bayt. So do I say al-baytu or do I say ab-baytu? So if it's a moon letter, I will say al-baytu. If it's a sun letter, I would say ab-baytu. So we can confirm above on the previous page that ba is actually a moon letter. So therefore, I will pronounce the lam. So I'll say al-baytu. So the same has to be done for the rest of these words. And with that, we come to the end of chapter 3. Inshallah, next lesson, we will begin chapter 4. هذا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.